welcome to Kermode Uncut. I'm here in picturesque Hammersmith, outside the Hammersmith Apollo. That used to be the Hammersmith Odeon when I was a kid. I saw Dr. Feelgood play there back in the 1970s. Anyway, I'm quite excited because I'm about to go to a film screening of a film called November Man. Now, you can get to hear my review of the film on the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon May. I haven't seen it yet, so obviously can't pass judgment, but I can tell you that I'm kind of excited. Why? Well, the foreword isn't great. It's getting what can only be referred to as a bijou opening, and no critics have gone mad about the movie, but it stars Pierce Brosnan. And I confess that in his later years, I have developed a real fondness for Pierce Brosnan. See, when he started out, he had like bit parts in movies like The Long Good Friday, very eye-catching, a small role. And then, of course, he made his name in Remington Steele. Now, I never saw Remington Steele. I was never a fan of the TV show. I never watched it. And so when the news came that Pierce Brosnan was going to take over from James Bond, I wasn't that excited. Then, of course, he didn't take over from Roger Moore. There's a contractual problem. Timothy Dalton ended up stepping into that role. I actually thought Dalton was a great Bond. So when Pierce Brosnan came along, I was kind of disappointed. I thought, well, I don't think he's as good a Bond as Timothy Dalton was. I may be wrong, just what I thought at the time. And then, over the years, things started to change. The first inkling that I'd been wrong about Brosnan was Matador. Now, you may remember Matador. It got very, very good reviews. People described it as the beginning of a Brosnan renaissance. I suppose if you have the Matthew McConaughey reconnaissance, it would be a Brosnanisance. Anyway, not a perfect film, but he was really good in it. And then, of course, there was Mamma Mia. I mean, a terrible film in which Pierce Brosnan singing is probably the most terrible thing, and yet somehow I fell in love with the film and kind of with Pierce Brosnan. And then the deal was sealed with Love Is All You Need, a wonderful movie by Susanne Bier, whose film Serena is currently playing in cinemas, having been held up for 2 years. And I just thought Brosnan was fabulous. Suddenly, in his later years, he'd come into his own. He'd become an actor of stature, of great grace and wit and charm. And ever since then, I've been kind of sold. When The Love Punch came out, I was really disappointed. I was off that week, so I didn't get to see it. I was desperate to see it because it had Pierce Brosnan and Emma Thompson. What could possibly be wrong? I mean, I know the reviews were terrible, but I love those two. And I feel exactly the same way about November Man. It doesn't matter how sort of lukewarm the critics have been or how underwhelming the release itself appears to be. I'm just about to go and spend 2 hours in a cinema watching Pierce Brosnan do whatever he does. The film may not be great, but I have a feeling that Pierce will somehow win.
He's probably the best friend I've ever had.
All your friends try to kill you?
Eventually.